Lowery, I know you love baseball players from the southeast part of the state, and this is one of the best all around. And the pride of Dickinson, Texas, it's Dennis Cook.
Tell you what, not only a great baseball player, but one of the best people you ever meet. I mean, if you're ever around his kids, he's a great dad, great husband. His kids, as I'd mentioned, they're yes sir, no sir when you're around them, old school. I mean, to the point when they got a little bit older and I was around them, I said, hey, man, I really like that, respect that, but I'm not that old, okay? So you can start calling me Lau. So, but just good kid, just good people, and one of the funniest people you'll ever meet in baseball or anywhere, really.
Yeah. Cookie, glad to have you here.
Thanks, man. That's a heck of an introduction, David. I appreciate that. I feel like I'm going in the Hall of Fame or something somewhere.
My invoice is in the mail, Cookie. I'll email it to you. Okay.
Perfect.
Let's talk about your... No, see, you're so popular, people are calling you. That's the way Cookie is.
You know? Hey, call me back later. I'm on a podcast.
Everybody wants to talk to him.
Right. That's great.
That's my boy.
See?
I don't know what he wants.
Everybody wants to talk to him, whether it's talk to dad, talk to the famous baseball player, whatever it is. How's your life changed through the years, Cookie?
Man, you know, I a big adjustment for me. I guess the biggest adjustment for me was going from playing to I played till I was 40 and ended up retiring in 2002. And you know, I was a baseball player my whole life, and then to go from playing baseball to coming home and being a full-time dad was really, you know, a tough adjustment for me because you know, no competing. None of that stuff. You know, competing, we're trying to not throw up from changing a dirty diaper. But, you know, that was the biggest adjustment for me. Everything else is good. Life is good. You know, I was divorced, and then Timmy and I got remarried. So we got to raise our kids together, and, you know, life is just good.
You know, I mentioned that, and we joked about that, but they really are. If you're around those kids, they're really throwback kids. They're really just good kids and doing well too, from what I understand. You know, as they've grown up. Could you take us through the journey? Take us through the baseball journey a little bit. You know, high school, JUCO, Texas, and then pro ball. Just, you know, kind of your overview of your own career.
Well, I could start back in high school. I was cut as a freshman. Did not make the team. Sophomore, we didn't have a sophomore team, so I played on the JV team, and I played first base. I didn't pitch any at all, and I got DH for it. So I was a defensive first baseman. Wow. Same thing as a junior. I went to the varsity, and I didn't pitch any. I pitched one inning my junior year. The last game of the season, I pitched one inning, played first base, and got DH for it again. And then we had a new coach come in, Coach Dale Westmoreland, who is one of my favorite people in the world, and I owe very much to him for being able to give me the opportunity. He's from down there in your part of the country, Lowery. He coached down there at it was either I think maybe Port Neches Groves, I think, where he coached.
P&G, possibly.
Yeah. But he came to Dickinson and gave me an opportunity to my senior year to pitch, and you know, I pitched, and you know, just kind of took off from there, and had a really good year my senior year in high school, but no place to go play baseball. You know, nobody came to Dickinson to find players, especially marginal players like I was. And Coach Westmoreland took it upon himself to take me and two other guys to a trout camp. It was a Phillies trout camp at Blinn. And, you know, of course, there's a ton of coaches there, junior college coaches and all that. And I was fortunate enough to be there, and we played Nederland that year. And we beat, when I was in high school, my senior year, I pitched against Nederland and beat them 2-1 back when they had their program was really good.
Mm-hmm.
The Nederland coach happened to be at this camp, helped working it, and Coach Barry from Angelina saw me there, and I literally played catch. And you know, back in those days, we just kind of old school things, and the guy squatted down on the other side and looked about 60 feet away, and they said, "All right, throw." So I was flat ground on the right field foul line, throwing to this guy, and Coach Barry walked up to me and called me over and asked me if I'd be interested in coming to Angelina. to play baseball, and I didn't even know if he was going to give me a scholarship. I didn't know where Angelina was. I didn't know where Lufkin, Texas was. It could have been all the way to El Paso. I told him, yes, I'm coming. And so we ended up working out. I got a full scholarship. JUCO guys got a full scholarship and went out to Angelina. We had a great team. Doug Gassaway back in the day was a scout with the Phillies. And my freshman year, he said that Angelina had one of the best, if not the best, baseball team in the state of Texas, including A&M, Texas, everybody.
D1's right.
We had a hell of a team. We had guys that were sophomores that year that ended up, all of them went on to play in the Southwest Conference, a bunch to A&M, Ronnie King to Baylor. We had a bunch of them that went, SFA and just a bunch of other schools. But good program. Coach Barry, love him. Took great care of us. I got to go there and play and pitch and grow as a player. And then, of course, got to come to Texas, and that was life-altering for me and my family.
Now, did you pitch more Angelina or hit her both kind of equal amount? And you got to Texas, you pitched, but you got more in the position player role. Tell us about that a little bit.
About half and half. My freshman year at Angelina, I was a pitcher, more so a pitcher. And then my sophomore year, I did both. I pitched. I think I was the number one pitcher there, and the Friday night guy, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
And then I hit the other two games. And I think I even hit when I pitched because
you've talked about your coach here at Angelina, how much he helped you progress as a hitter. Before. We've talked about that.
As a hitter, he was the best hitting coach I've ever been around.
Yeah.
Just he was just phenomenal hitting coach that could have coached in anywhere in pro ball and made an impact. Just phenomenal hitting coach. But that's all we did. We hit all the time. And we'd win games 20-10 because we couldn't catch a ground ball or nothing else. But
that was a Jackie Davis model at Panola.
Right.
That's old school guys just hit.
That's right. But we so that, and of course Texas, and at Texas I played every day in right field and pitched just a little bit. But then pro ball was drafted in 1985 in the 18th round by the Giants, and I was drafted to be a hitter and a pitcher, and they were going to try to figure out what they wanted to do with me. And I was supposed to go to Everett, Washington to a short season, rookie ball. And I was going to pitch once every 5 days and hit the other 4. And then at the end of the year, they were going to decide if I was going to be a hitter or a pitcher. And a couple of days before I was going to go to Everett, Washington, I got a call, and they said, you're not going to Everett, Washington anymore. You're going to go to Clinton, Iowa. And I said, okay, that's fine. So that was low A. So I drove up to Clinton, Iowa, and I pitched. And when I got there, I asked Timmy Blackwell was my manager, an old catcher in the big leagues, had a big bushy mustache. And I asked him, I said, well, so what am I going to do, pitch or hit? He said, as of right now, you're going to be a pitcher. So obviously I pitched. And
did they ever explain why it worked out great, obviously, but how they came to that conclusion, or were they just trying to fill a spot, you think, at that time?
It was filling a spot. They had their second round pick the year before was in Clinton. It was a left-handed pitcher. His name was Joe Oker out of University of Illinois, and he blew his elbow out. So they needed a left-handed pitcher. And I guess I was, one of the older guys because I was a senior out of college. So they just said, send him to Clinton, see if he can pitch. So I went up there, and I had a hurt arm the whole year, but ended up decent, had a good year, and then had surgery in December and took off from there. The funny story, though, funny story on that, in my pro career, I had surgery in December of that year after my first half season in Clinton. And I went to spring training, and I was still scuffling big time, trying to get my arm right. And I knew I had to be able to pitch and show them I could pitch.
Because a senior sign, there, that's expendable.
Yeah, they'll send you home in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So I got there and I was throwing, man, just wasn't coming out good. And finally, like the last time I pitched in spring training, and I think I got up to 88 or something like that, they said. And the old farm director's name was Bob Kennedy, Terry Kennedy's dad. I don't know if y'all remember Terry Kennedy.
Yeah, the catcher.
He was old, crusty, mean, walked around limping like his hip was going to pop out of socket all the time, pissed off. And he come over, he said, I'm going to send you to Fresno High, California League. He goes, but you're the last guy on the roster. And he goes, you're going to be a middle reliever in high A ball. And I said, all right, thank you, sir. This and that. This. So I go, and I'm literally a middle reliever in the California League. And first week of the season, one of the starters got hurt. So I took his place and started pitching. I ended up staying in the rotation the whole year. I threw 173 innings that year. I led the league in walks and I led the league in strikeouts. I walked 100 and struck out 173 in that league.
Wow.
And then, but I didn't know how to pitch. You know, I'm some days I'm doing my wind up and I'm breaking my hands over my head and kicking my leg up high like Nolan Ryan and throwing when I felt good and loose. And then other days I'm, bringing my hands in. So I had no idea really what I was doing. And then I ended up going to instructional league after that season. And I had a problem. My temper and competitive, I'd scream at the umpires. And, I gave up a grand slam in Fresno one time. And I told the umpire it was his fault because he didn't call a strike the pitch before. My manager came out there and grabbed me by my shirt right here. Timmy Blackwell, the guy with the big mustache, moved up with us from Clinton to Fresno. He grabbed me by my shirt. He literally drugged me up to the mound and picked me up with one arm and told me if I ever did that again, he's going to kick my ass on the mound, is what he told me. And after that, I was like, you know what? I need to kind of settle down. So I ended up going to instructional league, and they told me that if you don't quit doing that, we're going to send you home. So from that day forward, nothing. They told me you got to start keeping, being able to keep your emotions inside of you, and you got to throw more strikes or you can't pitch at the next level. So literally nothing changed mechanically, just cleaned it up a little bit and went to AA. Shreveport, had a great year. I think it was 9-2 in the first half. I think I ended up walking like 20 people that half a season. So my walks went way down, my strikeouts went way up. Had maybe a 1.5 ERA or 2.
And let me stop you. You just mentioned that. Did you think that was because you mentally kind of got yourself on an equilibrium that was smooth and easy, or did you make some adjustments mechanically?
I think both, but more so mentally. And my approach was this: when they told me to throw more strikes, I literally told myself, I don't care if I give up 7 home runs a game, I ain't walking nobody.
Right.
And I'm not walking nobody. And in 100 innings, I think I walked 20 the first half of that season. And then I ended up going to AAA up the second half of the season, got hit around a little bit, just a big adjustment that year. And then the next year, I ended up getting called up the big leagues at the end of the AAA season.
You skipped over being drafted when you were in Angelina by the Padres. Was that a tough decision?
That was the winter draft. And I'm trying to think. Mr. Hines was the guy's name that drafted me. Al Hines. He was an older man, and his wife had brain cancer, and so we really never kind of touched base. He was very preoccupied, understandably, and the offer was very low, and I bet on myself a little bit, but it was an honor to be drafted by those guys.
Yeah,
and,
it had to be exciting for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, have somebody look at you and think you could play. And, of course, that, builds your confidence as a player, too.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating amateur journey and a minor league journey, but then it ends up 17 or parts of 17 seasons in the big leagues.
Yeah. Man.
And you just kept getting better every year. LeBay and I used to be back here giving lessons. We'd be talking about, he just gets better and better every year. And what's funny is you're talking about, I never saw it. Texas, I always saw you just an energy guy, not necessarily negative, but you were just, you were excited about playing and winning and all that. And you're kind of saying you had a little bit of an attitude adjustment to make, but your major league demeanor was totally professional.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
You went to Bjorn Borg. You had the Bjorn Borg transformation right there.
It was just, you learn how to play too, in the minor leagues, you kind of learn. College baseball and professional baseball are two different things.
They are two different genres. Yeah.
Yes. And, you can't bring that into a pro game, especially back in the day, or you'd get freaking lit up.
Yeah.
Somebody would light you up, drill you or something, So it was just, I needed to make some adjustments, and I did. But I tell you what, I wouldn't change anything the way I played at Texas. I freaking loved it there.
No, that's the way it should have been. I mean,
I played I tell anybody that'll listen to me, coming to the University of Texas was life altering, not only for me, but for my family, because it gave me an opportunity and some exposure for people to see me play. And I loved playing at the University of Texas.
Yes.
And I loved the feeling of being able to kick people's rear end all the time. I mean, it was just a matter of how bad is the way the attitude was. And I loved that feeling. And I think that helped me a lot in pro ball.
There's so many of those mid 80s, early 80s guys, Mike, that really symbolize, and Dennis is one of those. Yeah, I think he'd lead off with Spike and then Billy and so many more. I don't want to leave anyone out, but Dennis, taking a dip in the regional. I had a guy out of the blue, a high school buddy out of the blue, I hadn't talked to him in years, goes, "Hey, you remember where were we when Dennis Cook, or who were they playing when Dennis Cook took that dip just out of the blue the other night?" And I texted Dennis. I said, "Dennis, was that in the World Series?" I'd forgotten. But I remember the dips thing, but it was against Lamar in the regional final. And he called timeout in the middle of the bat and took a dip and then hit a sac fly to win the game. So
yeah, I'll tell you the funny story about that. And I told you this. Well, wasn't able to tell you the story through text, but I remember it was Billy Bates ended up on third base and I was on deck, and it might have been a close play at third base or something, but I was walking to the plate with one out. And I think it was a tie ball game. And David Poss was pitching. Mike, you might remember this.
I remember Poss.
Yeah, the hard sinker, right-handed hard sinker, threw about 170 innings against us in the weekend. I was walking to the plate, and I always hit with a dip in my mouth. And when I was walking to the plate, I started getting real nervous. And I was like, damn, I think I'm going to throw up. I better take this dip out of my mouth because I'm so nervous and amped up. So I took my dip out, and I walked to the plate, and I stood in there. And, first pitch, he throws a hard sinker that bounces about 3 feet in front of home plate, and I swing at it. And I look down there at Coach Gus, and Coach Gus is looking at me. He's going, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, damn, what am I doing? And I stepped out, and I went, well, I know. I don't have a dip. That's the problem. So I called the timeout to the umpire and went and got a dip. And I think the next pitch, I hit a little weak sac fly to left field, and Billy Bates was probably out at home plate, but we got him called safe. The umpire was Tony Patch, I remember. And they called him safe, and we ended up winning. I don't know if that was a game winner or I don't remember.
I think that was. I think it was. Oh, yeah.
Close play at the plate. They still complain about that play, too. They got screwed to going to Omaha, but they'd have had to beat us that game plus another one. So and that wasn't going to happen.
Right.
You mentioned Coach Gus. I want you to watch this.
What's that on the ground?
That's one of our key team leaders. He's a senior, experienced guy from last year, and we count on him a lot for leadership.
That's beautiful.
That's classic. That's classic Cookie to me, because you're so fun. You're so crazy when you're not between the lines, and yet listen to what Coach Gus says about you, and that's classic Cookie. Because you're so dependable, you're such a good team leader, you're such a great baseball person. You have to love that. Even, it was 1985, so we're almost 40 years since then, and that still has to, sink in your heart.
Oh yeah, I love Coach Gus. Coach Gus gave me an opportunity that nobody else could give me. To come here and play for him was, like I said, life changing. It's the University a lot of people say the University of Texas, it gives them, an education and changes their lives that way. Well, the University of Texas changed my life through the baseball program.
Yeah.
And I owe that program a whole lot, because that program allowed me to take care of my mom and dad. Mm-hmm. And, so I'm very blessed and very thankful for anything and everything that this university was able to give me.
I was lucky enough to meet your
make
mom
Gus
and dad.
laugh,
Yeah, you know what? Coach Gus was a big softie. He could be a hard ass, but I think Coach Gus knew that whenever the lights came on, he knew the guys that were going to show up and play for him.
Right.
And he maybe he treated those guys a little different than he treated the guys that would, maybe back off a little bit and be a little less. He gave us a little more leeway, I think. And you know what? Listen, I'm going to have fun. If I got to walk around on eggshells, then I'm probably in the wrong place. I want to have fun. I want to compete. I want to win. And I think those things kind of all work together. You know, you got guys walking around with their butt tight and on eggshells. You're never going to win. You're never going to win that way.
That's right.
You know, screaming and hollering. And Coach Gus didn't have to scream and holler. He just look at you like, you want to play tonight? Then you better do something.
Yeah,
and you knew it. You knew what he was telling you without him even saying nothing.
Yeah.
So I loved him.
Yeah. I was going to say that I was lucky enough to meet your mom and dad back in the summer of '90. You were with the Phillies. Y'all were in Houston playing the Astros, and photographer Kenny Kaplan and I went to Houston. We did a story on you, did a story on Ruffin, did a story on Pat Combs, and met your mom and dad after the game. And they made an impression on me. They were good people.
Well, I appreciate that. My dad passed away in 2004 when we were in Omaha, and
remember that.
Still kicking and doing okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. How was growing up for you, and how did that mold you into the man you are today?
Well, I think growing up, we came from a probably lower. You know, my mom, my dad, neither one were college educated. My mom was a secretary. My dad was a teamster in the refineries, and he was hurt a lot. So he worked about half the time, and my mama would take 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet. So we grew up a little bit hard, and we grew up, we had a lot of fun, but, you know, we didn't have a whole lot growing up. And, you know, that's fine. You don't have to have everything, you know.
Right.
But we worked hard, and we worked around the house. And my dad saw to it that we had a great work ethic and, you know, respectful and somewhat tough. And, you know, so that's the kind of, you know, raising I had.
You get the humor from your mom or your dad?
I think I got a little bit of both in me. I think my dad probably pushed us as far as a work ethic goes, but my mom is a very compassionate, loving person. I think I got that side in me too, but the work part definitely came from my dad. And watching my mom, you know, work all those jobs and not complain. But my dad was the one that would say, "Get up out of the bed, and I got a list this long for you to do today." And my buddies would be coming over. "Hey, Dennis, come on, let's go play." "Man, I can't. I got to change the oil." "Didn't you change the oil last week?" "Yeah, I changed it last week, but I'm changing it again because there's nothing else to do." And he had everybody in our neighborhood. I'd be mowing yards. You know, I mowed yards for $3 a yard. You know, I had all the old ladies in our neighborhood pay me in those Dolphin dime books. You get 30 dimes in a book from the bank, and I still got them. $3 worth of dimes. I'd be like, "Daddy, can I go play football with the guys?" "No, you got to go Miss Pappas's yard, earn that $3. So,
damn, Dennis, if I'd have known that, I'd have had you over here last week helping. That cost me a lot more than $3 to get those trees trimmed.
Oh my God, we've been trimming trees. I done pulled 3 chainsaw blades cutting trees up around here. Stephen and Carla came over and helped us, and Stephen LeBay and his wife came over and helped us and put a couple of good hard days in. But yeah.
Now, is LeBay here? Because I used to talk to LeBay quite a bit. I text him a couple times a year, talk about the stock market, and then he kind of went into witness protection. And I saw him at your 60th birthday party. When I got to visit. I love LeBay. You know, you guys have been tight a long time. Go into that relationship too.
Yeah, Stephen and I have been buddies a long time. You know, he's from Angleton and I'm from Dickinson, which is probably 30 minutes away, but we played against each other in high school. He was always, he's a year older than me, and he was always their guy. And then he ended up going to Angelina, and I came in behind him the following year, and then we became best friends. And we did everything together. And then he came to Texas. And when I was getting recruited to Texas, I talked to him a lot about it. And he was like, "You can play here. You need to come here." So he was basically the guy that recruited me.
That's cool.
His great regional was the year before you got to Texas, I guess.
83.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, 83. He had a great pitched really good against Mississippi State.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then of course we've been friends. We've been fishing buddies for the last 35 years, or probably more than that. And now he's a big time golfer. He's playing some big tournament up in Dallas this weekend. So he's doing great. They were over for dinner 2 nights ago. Him and Carla came over and made him shrimp and grits. for helping me in the
So,
backyard.
do they still have a place up here, Cookie? Or because I know they've
Yeah.
been back and forth, or
No,
had
they're
two
right down the
places.
road. They're probably a mile and a half as the crow flies from here, from my house. They used to live right next door.
Yeah.
All right, I want to talk about your major league career a little bit, Cookie.
Yeah.
And first of all, you may not want to say names when I say this, but you played for so many teams. In fact, I've got jerseys of a lot of your teams behind me, but not nearly all of them.
There you go.
Do you have one that was a favorite, one that was a least favorite, anything like that? Because
Yeah.
you were from left to right, West Coast, East Coast, and everything in the middle.
Yep, my favorite team were the Rangers because it was close to home. I mean, I felt like I could go get the Dallas Morning News. I could read, the fishing reports, high school football. I just felt like I was home.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was living in Austin then. So it's an easy commute. On an off day, I could get in my truck and come home. So I love playing for the Rangers. I was there for 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
And the least favorite probably was the Dodgers.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't like that place. I didn't like Lasorda. I didn't care for him too much. And good group of guys, great group of guys. Just it was one of those deals. I think I was 9 the year before. I was in LA in 91. In 1990, I was 9-4 in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Full season in the big leagues, 3.5, 3.6 ERA, 150 innings in the big leagues. Got traded to the Dodgers. They sent me back to AAA the next year to start the season. And that kind of, rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Sure.
They had a veteran team, and they basically brought me in as insurance. And they paid me good in AAA, but still, I lost a lot of service time, and that's one more year closer to arbitration I'd have been, closer to free agency. So it cost me a lot of money to go over there with the Dodgers. And then on top of that, I didn't like the guy running the team.
Mm.
I think I remember you mentioning that. I asked one time, and back then you just kind of, the way you answered was, "Hey, I just get the ball and go throw." When he gives it, and you didn't want to comment back then. You were in the middle of it, but you could tell. I'd always heard that about Lasorda a little bit.
Yeah, and I got called up in the middle of the season, and I think I had 12 innings of relief pitching, and I had a 0 ERA and give up an earned run, and they sent me back down to the minor leagues. And so it was just, it wasn't a good deal for me.
Yeah.
So I was glad to move on.
You got traded a few times, but you also signed as a free agent with different teams. How did you decide who you were going to sign with?
I always liked the National League.
So you could hit.
Yeah, that's right. That's one of the reasons why. And in my contract, I always got incentives for appearances. So if I, pitched 3 or 4 days in a row and then I got the pinch hit, that counted as an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
So I always wanted that incentive to stay on the field. Just about every contract I had, I always had some type of appearance incentive. But the 1 year in what year was that? 99 when I signed with the Mets. It was between them and the Orioles, and I wanted to stay in the National League. You face 8 hitters instead of 9.
Yeah.
And I get opportunity to hit.
Yeah. Here's a little Dennis Cook trivia for you, that in all the years of since the DH started back in 73, for major league pitchers batting, only 20 of them have gotten a batting average of 300 in a season. One of them, Dennis Cook, in 1990.
Oh, wow.
Dennis, do you know your lifetime average? I know it. I looked it up. I bet I know it.
It's one of the highest
you're a
for
good
a
hitter.
pitcher. You don't see many pitchers with that high.
I think
of a
you were
batting average.
second all time with X number of innings / or at bats or something. It was 264.
Yeah.
That ain't bad.
That's
You're
very
Not playing every day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard to do. You probably got 20, 30 at bats a year, especially in reliever, about some pinch hitting, I think. But that's hard to do.
I think I ended up with 120 or 130 at bats. And everyone goes, yeah, but you only had 120, 130 at bats. And my response always is, if you give me 500 at bats, I'd have hit 300.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. I don't get that.
I felt like I could hit that big league pitching. Now, whether I could or not, I don't know. But in my brain, I thought I could.
Isn't that about half of it? Thinking
that's about
at least half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember your major league home runs?
I do. I hit Fernando Valenzuela. That was in 1990, a 3-run shot. He hung a slider and freaking T-boned it. And then I got, what was that guy's name from St. Louis? I can see his face. I can't remember. A right-handed reliever. He didn't have a whole lot. He went 3-1, and I hit him left center.
Nice.
Oppo. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
In St. Louis?
Yeah.
That was a big ballpark back in the day, too.
Yeah, I got him good. I hit it with Bobby Bonilla's bat.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I got him good.
When you see Ohtani and what he's able to do pitching and hitting, do you ever go, oh, I wish somebody had given me that chance?
You know what? Yes, I do. No, of course, I wasn't going to be as good as he is. He's superstar.
Yeah.
But
I got a higher batting average than he does right now, but go ahead. He has power. He does.
Yeah. But back in the day, they kind of made you pick, and now with, they're seeing the advantage of guys that can do both, because you can take, one guy and fill 2 roster spots.
Spots.
So basically but you know what? Jim Leland was a forward thinker in 97 when we won the World Series with the Florida Marlins. He would use me as a pinch hitter a lot. And I was like an extra bench player. And a lot of times he would use me, not all the time, but he would figure out the batting order. And if he was going to make a pitching change, he'd bring me in a lot of times, and he'd bring me in to hit. I'd hit, and then he'd put me in the game, and he'd do a double switch.
Yeah.
So, but he would put me in at different times of the game. So he was thinking about that. And then a lot of times, I think I had 12 pinch hit appearances that year. And I think I was 7 for 12.
Nice.
So yeah, it was good, man. I that's why he's my favorite manager. I love playing for him, because he thought outside the box. And I loved him too. Great manager, the very best.
And a few managers let you pinch run every once in a while too, getting to show off that speed.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I got some speed here. Let's look at the speed. Here we go.
I wish I could run like that now. I wish I could bend like that.
That was pretty good.
My back don't bend like that anymore for some reason.
Father Time's undefeated.
Hey, you know what though? In my brain, I still feel like I can run like that. Except when my kids or somebody wants to run with me, and I take off thinking I'm running fast, and all I'm seeing is elbows and rear ends.
Yeah. Oh man, that's good stuff.
Cookie, I've been to a lot of games where you were coaching your kids. How fun was that for you? Because I know your 2 sons, I know your daughter was too, but your 2 sons were really good baseball players. And I loved watching you coach your boys.
Yeah. I started coaching when they were 9, and I had a lot of fun with it. And then they started getting about 12. And I think I was still a little bit too close to the fire. And if I could go back and do it different, I would have coached them at 12 like I did at 9, where it was just fun and this and that. But whenever I learned, and by the time I got to high school with them, I coached up at Lake Travis with them for the 3 years. I was the fun guy, and Coach Rogers was the mean one. So that was kind of a fun way for me. And, to watch your boys and be up there with them every day, and my daughter also in volleyball, be up there and watch them, see who they're hanging out with in school. And, it was good for me. And I appreciate my kids for allowing me to do that, because, that can be a tricky deal. And I never showed favoritism to any of my kids. They probably felt like they had to work harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be.
Well, especially
I loved it.
At that age, when you're high school age, or some kids are like, there's no way I'm going to have mom or dad up here. Yeah. No, stay away. Yeah. And it just shows the great relationship that you have with your kids.
Yeah, they were awesome. I talked to them about it before I did it, and they were like, yeah, sure, do it. And so it was good.
That's kind of how your family rolls. That's how you guys roll as a family, though. You like to me, they wouldn't have thought anything of it. You're right. A lot of kids would not have liked their mom or dad around like that.
Yeah.
I could see them. You guys are such a tight knit unit.
Yeah, it was.
That's great.
We had a great time. The kids still talk about it, and it was good. I loved it. I wish I could have coached them longer.
And that's a good segue, because after I'm going to say parts of 17 years, I think they officially say 14 or whatever, but you had 17 years you were in the big leagues, 2 world title teams you were on, just a lot of success. I mean, you were a solid reliever. You had a lot of starts. I mean, you're just a very good big league pitcher. Then you go into coaching, and we've talked about this in the show before. Sometimes big leaguers don't always make the best coaches, but you're one of the exceptions because you're a great communicator. You're great with young people, high school, college age, early in pro ball. I've seen you work too with it. Very impressive. You're knowledgeable. We get that, that's an obvious thing, but you're also good with the kids communicating. Take us through your coaching. I know you've been in the Cape the last 4 or 5 summers, and the joy. Do you feel that same joy helping the kids go through the grind now and learning and developing?
Yeah, I do. And, I just go quickly through what the coaching part of it. My kids, I coached them in high school. I think it was from 17. No, I don't remember the high school stuff. But internationally, I managed the Swedish national team for 8 seasons, which was a ton of fun. And, got to know the kids over there, and that we took that approach. Stephen was on my staff. He came over with me. Yeah. Scott Scudder came over, was my pitching coach.
How did you get a job like that?
Yeah, how did?
Well, that's another story in itself. I think I retired at 40. I had my shoulder operated on, and it was blown up, so I had to retire. So I think at 42 or at 44, I was sitting at home going, man, I got to do something. I got to compete something, or I'm going to kill somebody. And so I started looking on the internet, and I found out that the Sweden had baseball. My mother is Swedish. She's 100% Swedish.
I can see that, yeah, with his skin tone and hair. Yeah.
You know what? I said, I'm just going to send these people a message. And I started doing a little research on them, and they were playing a Olympic qualifier in Stockholm. And I was like, I got to get on that team and play. So I emailed the guy that's running the federation, and he emails me back. He goes, yes, we'd love to get you. We'll help you get the passport. And I figured I couldn't pitch because my shoulder was trashed, but I could play outfield and still hit. And so we were working towards the passport, couldn't get it, not in time. So the guy goes, we can't get the passport, so you can't play. He goes, but would you be interested in managing the team? And I was like, yeah. So I ended up managing the team, and we took a team that wasn't very good. They had no instruction or coaching. And we took them, and then in the next European Championship, we ended up playing for the bronze medal against the Germans. We got beat. We almost got in a fight with them. But we would have won the fight, too, because our guys were freaking them big Viking dudes that would take right down. I'll tell you one more funny story about my Swedish guys, and then we can move on, but I don't know how much time we have here.
No, we're good. Go ahead.
We were playing a team from the U.S. It was a bunch of college kids that came over. We were playing in Prague. It's called Prague Baseball Week. It's in the Czech Republic, and they have a big tournament every year over there. And we're playing, I think it's Athletes in Action or some sort of deal like that, brings over college players, a lot of Division II kids and, JUCO guys. They'll bring a team over and play in this Prague Baseball Week. So I go out, we're playing the U.S. team, my Swedish guys. So I go out to shake the guy's hand, trade lineups. And the coach from the other side, I don't even know who he was or where he was from. But he asked the umpire, he goes, is a 10-run rule in effect for this game? And that kind of rubbed me wrong, like they were going to kick our rear ends. And so referee said, yeah. This umpire said, yeah, it's still in. So we trade lineup cards, and I go back and call my guys in the huddle, and I go, man, you can't believe what that guy just said. And I told my guys that, and they were pissed, thinking that they were fired up and pissed. And I had an outfitter named Peter Johannesson. He's bald-headed, and he's crazy as hell. I mean, red-headed, bald, just a wad of a muscle. And he's probably 6'4", 225. Good player, really, really good player. And great arm, hit with power. So he's on third base, sack fly left field. He's shallow left. I'm coaching third base. I say, no, don't go. Don't go. Too shallow. He acts like he don't understand English. He speaks better English than me. Guy catches the ball. There goes Peter. I'm like, oh, this ain't gonna be this ain't gonna be good. He's running. The ball gets to the catcher. Peter hits the catcher so hard, he knocks him out of his shoes. His shoes come off.
Really?
Yes. His shoes came off. And the kid looks like he's dead. Of course, Peter's safe. The ball rolls to the fence. But that just sets the tone. That's the way our guys played over in Sweden. They were freaking hard-nosed, just good baseball players. We had a handful of them. My shortstop was 40 years old.
Wow.
40-year-old shortstop. Rick Raymer was his name. He's now the head coach over in Sweden. He had as good as hands as anybody I ever played with. Couldn't move. He couldn't move 6 feet either side. But if you hit the ball to him, you were freaking out. Good catcher. I mean, we had a guy, Philip Glazer was his name. He's Polish, but he's a Swedish citizen. He had the most power I ever seen of anybody I ever played with. That dude could hit a baseball so freaking far. But anyways, we did that over there for 8 seasons, and then I ended up working in 2017 with the Germans. Was a pitching coach with the Germans, World Baseball Classic qualifier in Mexico. And then from there, I got hired to go to the World Baseball Classic with the Italians as a pitching consultant. And then after that season, 2018, they hired me as the pitching coach for the national team over in Italy. So I've been over there with them for a couple European championships and Olympic qualifiers and all that stuff. So it was good. It was good.
And so when did you transition? I guess you got out of that and you started working in the Cape in the summers with college guys?
Yeah. I've been in the Cape. I was there for 4 summers. So I was able to do the Cape stuff and go over to Italy. It just worked out because a lot of the tournaments are in September, late September. And they allowed me to, do my thing down at the Cape.
You going to go back next year to Cape?
To the Cape?
Yeah.
No, I'm not going back to the Cape this year. This summer, I'm actually going to manage in the Appalachian League.
Wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Get back in the Pro Bowl.
How about that?
No, it's the Appy League now is a summer league team.
College summer league team?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm going to go to Greenville, Tennessee. So I'm going and I'm bringing Mickey Tettleton as my hitting coach. And I don't know who my other 2 coaches are, but we want to try something different. Now I had my fill of the Northeast, the Cape, and for a while and take a break and go coach in the Appy League and manage there. I've always wanted to manage and, so see what happens.
Talk about managing college kids, because you had some experience. Of course, you were in college, so you were around college kids then. Mm-hmm. You had some experience as the assistant coach, grad assistant at volunteer assistant with the Horns in 2004. Mm-hmm. Has it changed through the years, or is this kids are kids? Just let's play ball.
I think it has changed. I think just the technology and stuff has changed as far as the things the kids ask about.
Yeah.
I don't do the analytics stuff. We have TrackMan and all that up in the Cape. We don't do that. We do old school. We get on the mound, we get on the bump, and we practice throwing strikes.
Yeah.
And practice competing, and I think they get enough of that other stuff, and when they're in school, and I think they get drunk on it, wanting to know how hard they're throwing, how hard they're spinning it. It really doesn't matter how hard you throw it, how hard you spin it, if you can't miss a barrel of a bat.
Right.
So, I just go back to what I know, and that's hard work and competing. And that's what I teach, because that's what I know. I don't know the other stuff, and I don't pretend to know it. So.
Is that what made you such a good pitcher that lasted so long? Because you lasted a long time in the majors.
Long time, yeah.
And yes, you're a great guy and you're a hard worker, but you have to have more than that. What was it that got you to last that long?
I think that I love this game so much. I really love the game. Yeah. I love playing it. I love coaching it. I love talking about it. I mean, you guys talk to Steven sometime. That's all we talk about. I love the game of baseball, and I think that helps. I love to compete, and I think that helped. And towards the end of my career, it got a little bit harder because I wasn't very good anymore. In 2002, I knew it was going to be my last year, regardless of injury or not, because it was just I wasn't very good, and it wasn't fun not to be good. So it was time to, and my goal was always to play till I was 40. And I literally had my shoulder operated on my 40th birthday, October 4th.
Really?
Team in the World Series, 2000. Yeah. I didn't make the roster because I was hurt. And they actually kept Socia was my manager. Of course, I played with Socia. Socia was my catcher in 91 with the Dodgers. He was my manager in 2002. And they ended up keeping, what's that guy's? Frankie Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Or I think that's his name, the guy that saved all the games. They had a great career. Well, he was a rookie, and they were trying to decide to keep me or him because I had great success against Barry Bonds, and we were playing the Giants. Of course, I was not very good then because I was hurt, and they decided to keep him, which was a brilliant move because the kid was way better than I was at the time. And anyways, I don't even know what we were talking about, so we'll move on.
No. We started that, and it does. And this is a genuine. When you talk to Dennis, that energy, he loves to talk about baseball, and he's good at it, and he's knowledgeable and knows how to teach it. And so he talks about all the aspects, and he takes his playing and transfers that into teaching. And he can communicate. I always use the word communicate. That's so important. Yeah, he could hit it and he could pitch it and all that, but can you communicate it and watch the guy you're dealing with? He may not do it just like you do it, but if he's going to be effective and get to that end result, hitting his spot, spotting it up and pitching, barreling it up and some guys are ideologues. You got to do it the way I did it or the way I was taught. And it's not always like that in the game, but when you talk to Cookie, that energy comes through and you have a great conversation, you can debate with him. You can agree. It's just good. It's just when there's an energy about him.
Well, you were talking about, Mike, you were asking about the college kids. That's my favorite age group to work with.
Yeah.
I loved our kids up in the Cape. I had Ty Madden up there. I had Alec Manoa up there. I had Kobe Kubicek up there. I have a guy named Troy Miller from University of Michigan. Austin Bergner from North Carolina. I have a whole bunch of guys that I still communicate with probably once a month. I had LeBaron Johnson last summer. So we have great kids up there, and they're great talents. And there's really nobody that we've ever had up there that I didn't like. They're all great kids. And it's funny because when you get up there, they're all really good. And about the first week, they're kind of walking around like roosters with their chests all pooched out, thinking they're this and that. And by the end of the year, they see they don't know it all. They understand. And it's eye-opening. And I've talked to you, David, about this, how little coaching these kids get at the college level. I mean, it's almost criminal to see a guy come in there that's a first-round pick that doesn't even have a pre-start routine. Has no idea what he's doing pre-start. Before his start, we had a guy, I'm not going to name names, but we had a guy that was a first-round pick that would start throwing an hour before his start. His first two starts, he did that. After that, we sat down and talked, and we changed his routine, and he ended up going down. He started throwing it 17 minutes before game time. So we narrowed him down to 17 minutes instead of an hour. So, and to me, that's criminal when you got those kind of arms and they're not being taught.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
We've touched on this. We talked about the kids changing. We just talked, how's the game changed? Because sometimes it's hard to watch, the big league game to me, you got like 9 home run dudes and they just yak. You don't have 1 and 2, 8 and 9 setting the table. You're 3, your best overall hitter. 4 or 5, your power. 6 and 7, kind of a free will and might punch out. It's gotten where they're all 7 and 8 or 6, 7, 5, 6 and 7 type hitters. Everybody just swings for the fences. Well, how's the game changed?
Well, I tell you what, you want to see that kind of baseball? Come up to Greenville, Tennessee this summer because we're going to have a 2-strike approach. We're going to attack the zone. Our pitchers are going to attack the zone, and we're going to catch the freaking baseball. So we're going to play baseball. We're going to move on.
Baseball, which is so good to watch. I mean, it really is.
I don't watch pro ball anymore.
You
I
can't.
could care less.
No one. I talked to Spike the other day. He said the same thing. It's just you can't. It's not watchable. So
well, I'm going to tell you something. When you got starting pitchers, I'll give you an example. Jack Ladder last year. Jack Ladder, AA with the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
He was averaging 4 and 2/3 innings a start on 6 days of rest. Now you tell me, how are you going to develop a guy pitching 4.2/3 innings every week? And you got that much money tied up in him.
Yeah.
My philosophy is this in the minors. If I'm a minor league guy, if I'm a minor league coordinator, I'm telling them this. You're going to pitch. If we're going to go once a week, that's fine. I'm going to give you 110 pitches. 110 pitches. Finish what you start. And whether you go 4 innings or 9 innings. Of course, if you're getting your brains beat out, we're going to pull you out of the game.
something like that. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's
Most
it's
people
to the
don't
point where everybody's protecting everybody. The starters go 4 innings. There's no, let's freaking finish something. Let's give the bullpen a break. They go 4 innings and they bring another guy in and another guy in and another guy in and another guy in.
That all used to be part of the drama of baseball. That competitive. That guy's got it tonight. Let's see if he can finish it. There's none of that anymore. I mean,
Well, I tell you what. And how do you ever develop a number one, a Matt Scherzer or a Verlander, if they're in the minor leagues and they're throwing 100 innings, you're protecting them? Oh, we can't. We got 100 innings in. We can't throw any more of that. You got it. There's guys going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of it.
It's part of the game.
That's part of the game.
At the college level too. Is you get down to the end and you've had a scuffling staff, but you have 2 or 3 dudes. Now you got to extend them out at the end of the season.
Yeah,
they can't make it. They run out of gas because they're not in shape to do that, and you're done. Now I don't believe in the other way and throwing them 200 pitches every night. I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
but
no.
I mean, I'm like, dude, these guys can't even get to the 7th inning anymore. And now you're down to money time, and you need them, and you've been using them the last month so hard because you didn't develop other guy. Now, so they can't make it. They're dragging across the finish line. So
that's right. Well, we see it every year in May and June, right?
Yeah,
we see it every year in college baseball. You got a handful of guys that can pitch, and nobody else can pitch because they're scared to pitch them on a Tuesday game because they're scared they're going to lose a Tuesday game.
Yeah, that's true too.
It's the same thing in high school. I saw the same thing in high school. We had 5 Division I pitchers the first year I was at Lake Travis. You remember seeing those guys, Mike?
Yes.
And we threw 2 of them. We had 3 other guys that could have probably pitched number ones anywhere.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Game's changed in some ways.
Yeah. And, I think it needs to go back to a little more of the old school.
Yes.
Listen, there's technology has a place. There's no doubt about that.
I agree with that.
I mean, there's got to come down.
down.
We're drafting guys now just because they can throw really hard.
Exactly.
Why can't we do both? Why can't we throw hard and throw strikes?
Mm-hmm.
And not only throw strikes, but throw quality strikes. A pecker high fastball at 95 goes a long ways. That's not a good pitch.
Right.
But the kid will come back and go, well, it was 95. Yeah, okay. Well, you freaking squared you up at 95 too.
Did they really come back with answers?
Oh yeah,
like that?
yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had a guy from Vanderbilt, a left-handed pitcher from Vanderbilt, just got shellacked up in the Cape and got hit around, and he wanted to know how hard he was throwing. And someone told him how hard he was throwing. He goes, "Oh man, that's awesome." And I'm like, "Awesome." Dude, I said, you threw 1 in the 3rd innings and gave up 5 runs. What's awesome about that? Well, hit 97. Okay, yeah. They just hit 110 off the bat on you. I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Well, what's sad is there's probably 6 scouts agreeing with him up there, and the kid's probably going to go in the 2nd round now because he threw 9. Therefore, there's no incentive to learn how to pitch.
Yep.
Put movement, hit a spot. So,
yeah,
anyway.
The game has changed that way, but hopefully it's going back towards a little bit of a balance. I think it is. I think the Rangers are really going in that direction, trying to balance stuff out after hiring Bochy and those guys.
And I agree with you. I think there's a place for it for analytics, but they've gone too far with it. It's like just dumb. I mean, Frank was telling a story about Brett. He's throwing a shutout at Fenway his rookie year. And the manager has to come out and ask 2 of the brass who are sitting there who called Billy Bean if it was okay for him to go out in the 8th,
9th inning.
It's crazy.
I'd have been getting in a fist fight with that manager trying to pull me out of a freaking shutout. But those are the kind of guys you want. You don't want a guy that's going to give up the ball after 6 innings with a shutout. I mean, I don't want that guy.
No.
Give
Now
me the
they
guy
really
that
hand.
goes,
They're
"Hell no,
looking for the
I'm not out
shower.
of this
Yeah.
game." No
That's
way.
right.
So much of it is like the NFL looking at 40 times and only worried about their 40 times, and that, you know, fast guys and not worried about smart football players and
Yep.
you know, good
That's right.
football
It's the
players.
same deal.
And we see the same thing in baseball so many times about, you know, just, you know, how fast you can throw the ball instead of how well you can pitch, because there is a difference. Which made Cookie so good.
Difference. But you can do both.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why we don't talk about it and teach it. Let's do both. Let's throw hard and throw quality strikes. It can happen. I mean, there's guys that do it, but the majority of them just throw really hard. You know, you watch them. It's just like I'm a rear back and hope and pray. And those are big league guys.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. Hey, Cookie, how are you doing from your snake bite? I know right before your 60th birthday, you'd run into a little issue in the garden with an unwanted visitor.
Yeah, I'm doing good now.
Tell that story about the snake bite. That was pretty good.
Tammy made me go outside and told me she wanted to clean out the flower beds, and I was stalling as long as I could. And she came in and got me. She goes, "You need to come outside and help me." So I went out there and started clipping some bushes, and reluctantly, of course, and reached down there to pick up the branches that I trimmed. And as soon as I put my hand down there, a snake jumped out and bit me on the back of my hand. Yeah. So end up having to go to the hospital, spent the night in the hospital. In the ER, I was over here at Lakeway Hospital for about half a day, and then they had to put me in an ambulance and take me downtown to, I don't even remember which was Dale something, downtown there.
Wow.
And man, that place, what a place that is. Had criminals coming in there, people handcuffed, screaming. I'm like, damn, how am I dying in this place?
With a snake bite.
Yeah. So anyway,
what do they have to do right there? They have to get the venom or match a venom with a snake, or how's that work? When
they gave me some anti-venom. I think they gave me four vials of the anti-venom.
Oh, wow.
And my hand swelled up real big, and it went all the way up into my shoulder and my underarm. And the only thing I was scared of is that they were going to have to open my hand up, because my hand got so big, they thought that it was going to like cut the circulation off to my fingers and stuff. And they were talking about having to like operate on my hand, and that kind of scared me, because I've seen like on the internet where they open it up and they leave like your skin wide open. And I didn't want to see that.
Wow.
Ooh.
So,
but your life insurance, was your life insurance paid up? I mean, Tammy would have.
Yeah, Tammy made sure it was paid up.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, she made sure it was paid up, and she was the beneficiary.
Yeah.
That's
great.
Yeah, she acted like her car would start when she tried to take me to the hospital. Couldn't get it out. My car won't start. She's going to have to walk in.
Dennis is swelling up like a balloon over there.
Nah, she rushed me down there. She was awesome.
What's in the future, Dennis?
Man, you know, I'm right now. I got my name in the hat for the German national team. Try to manage it. They're trying to qualify for the next World Baseball Classic in 4 years. So there's a lot of qualifying tournaments. I don't know if I'm going to get the job. I got my name in the hat and hopefully get a good interview with them. Of course, I'm going to Greenville Appalachian League this year, and you know, maybe pro ball. Love to get back to the University of Texas. You know, that's where I really want to be. I think I can make an impact there. But you know, David knows all about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Would you go back into pro ball at this age?
Yeah,
travel.
I thought I was going to have a job with the Rangers this year as a fourth coach. Yeah, really? Supposedly going to bounce between. It still might happen maybe later in the season. They're wanting a bullpen guy that could bounce between here and Frisco. So they decided not to do it right now, but it could happen. I was offered a job, AA job last year with the Tigers, and didn't want to go to up. I think it was in Erie, Pennsylvania. That's too cold for me. The Eastern League.
Right. I played in that league. We got snowed out of 4 games in April. And I didn't know. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, that league cold.
Yeah.
So I decided not to do that. Steve Smith is the pitching coordinator, the old Baylor coach. Called and asked me if I'd be interested in doing it, and I thought about it, and you know, going from home a lot. You know, if I'm here in Texas at Round Rock,
it's got to be the right fit, is what.
Yeah, it's got to be the right fit. But ultimately, I want to end up at the University of Texas, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen. unless they expand coaching staff or
They
something.
could happen. What years were you with the Rangers?
I was there 95, 96.
Did Terry ever come up? Terry
Yeah.
Burrows?
Yeah.
I talked to Terry
Stupid
today.
boy.
He called me. Huh?
That boy's stupid. Terry
What?
Burrows,
Yeah.
stupid boy. That's what I called him too.
You like him? You like Terry, though.
Oh, I love him.
Ain't
He's
it?
a great guy.
I played with him. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Terry Burrows is a good guy.
Oh, he
He's
called me
crazy.
today. He's living in Montgomery, and he called me. His kids are in high school there, and he's trying to get some turf for the high school, for the cages of the bullpen or something. So I'm trying to help him out. But yeah, Terry played. Terry was kind of a Louisiana Lightning type. I'm not saying he was Ron Guidry. I'm saying he had a lot of the features. Wasn't that big, left-hander, threw pretty hard. Competed.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he did all right for himself. Good
and
guy.
Brandon Berg was there.
Oh yeah.
Some of those guys. Yeah.
I lived with him in spring training.
Yeah.
Mark Brandenburg.
Yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah, real good guy. So
Cookie's had a lot of teammates.
he have had a lot of teammates.
And I've talked to quite a few through the years, from the Longhorns through Pro Ball, and everyone loves Cookie. Everyone loved you on their team.
That's true. That is true.
And I don't mean to compliment you, try and get on your good side, because we've been friends a long time, but everyone loves playing with you, Cookie.
Well,
that has to mean a lot to you.
Oh, it does. Of course it does. At the end of the day and end of your career, I tell this, I mean, would never be a Hall of Famer, so I'm never going to be recognized as one of those guys. But at the end of the day, whenever people ask about you, you want the best compliment you can have is somebody says he was an awesome teammate.
Yeah.
That's the best compliment you can ever have.
Yeah.
Because, you're spending more time with those guys than you do with your family.
Do with your family.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. No,
And,
true.
for them to look at you and go, I mean, he's a good guy, a good teammate.
Yeah.
That's an utmost compliment.
What are 2 or 3 of your funniest stories from teammates or your journey, college or pro ball?
Man.
Lots to choose from.
Yeah.
Well, you're one of the quickest. He's one of the quickest with
Yeah,
guys.
but I don't want to say the two that immediately came to my mind. I don't want to say them. One of them was we broke the law, and I don't want to say that because I don't want the law to come back on me. And
the statute of limitations is up, Cookie. Is it 7 years? You murder somebody?
No, we didn't murder nobody.
Then you're good.
Was it more than 7 years ago?
Yeah, it was more than 7.
Oh, you're good.
You're good.
It was
Yeah.
back in I think it was 1984 was when it happened, but I'm not going to say it. I don't want people to look at me in a bad way.
Well, that wasn't the goose hunting or the geese hunting thing, was it?
No. I'll tell you when it's just us sometime.
Okay.
But yeah, good stories. Man, I got so many. It's hard to just narrow them down. Yeah. I don't have to name names, so I don't want to do that either.
That's great.
I'll tell my favorite Cookie story real quick, and that was his last year, Anaheim, playing for the Angels, and I went to spring training with took my son out to spring training. We go to an Angels game, see Cookie before the game, and during the game, he's back. I don't know if it's because your shoulder was bothering you, but you're in the clubhouse already. He's basically undressed. I don't remember who the Angels were playing, but a little fight breaks out. Well, here comes Cookie running out of the clubhouse, half naked, because he hears there's a fight and he's going to help his teammates. Classic Cookie to me. That was you.
Yeah. Those kind of things seem to always follow me a little bit. But yeah,
that's why your teammates love you.
Yeah, but I you know what, I feel like they would have done the same for me too, though. Hopefully they would have done the same for me.
I need more on this. You really came out in a towel, or did you have like your pants on or shorts or joggers?
He had on.
Probably side pants or something.
Yeah, side pants. Yeah.
You know, I went out there and showed my steroid body.
Gun show. Put on the gun show for
the gun show for sure. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. I miss it, but I'm so blessed and so thankful to have. Cool. You know what? I tell anybody I never worked a day in my life. I really have.
Yeah.
You know, I got to do what I love more than anything in the world for a living, and now I get to teach kids. So I'm blessed. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than so thankful, and going back to Coach Gus, the opportunities that he and the University of Texas baseball program allowed me to have. I'm very thankful.
And that goes for all of us. It changed our life. You know what I mean? The people you associate, just the people you met, no matter, even if you got to the big leagues or not, it was a special time, special place, still is. So
yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you're still a part of the game, Cookie. It's going to be fun,
right.
whether it's with the Rangers or anybody else, Appalachian League, anything else. Fun watching you in baseball.
Or the Longhorns.
We can tell that you love it so much.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, Mike. And I appreciate you guys having me on. I mean, man, that's awesome. I ain't seen you in a while, Mike. I seen Lowery not too long ago.
I know. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's great seeing you guys. Great seeing y'all.
Well, good having you in the box seats, and we appreciate you being here.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much. David, thank you.
All right, man.